Hello once again, readers of good literature. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my white room. Now, this week I'm going to be talking to you guys about the book by William Golding entitled Lord of the Flies. This is a book that I read in high school, I think my freshman year, and I decided to reread it this week, and here are my thoughts about it. As usual, I'll be talking about the ending to this book after the credits of this video, so stay tuned after that if you so choose. But getting right down into it, in my opinion, there are three main characters in the story. First one is Ralph. He is essentially this kid who the rest of the kids on the island elect to be their leader. Ralph is the one who, in my opinion, is the most rationally thinking. He realizes what people need to do to survive, but in some ways he forgets some other basic parts that are necessary. But he is probably the central character of the book. His parallel is a guy named Jack. He comes from this choir group. He's very egotistical. He really desires power. He does not like being disrespected, and he kind of loses himself. He's head of the hunters, and he's an interesting character to watch in terms of his transformation. And the third main character is a fat boy named Piggy. He is essentially the intelligent side of this group of boys. He is basically Ralph's right-hand man, and just kind of helps him out. His spectacles that he wears are what they use to light a fire, and that becomes kind of a central part of the story. So yeah, with that, getting right into it with the plot, essentially the story opens up after this huge plane crash happens, and the select group of children, British children, and they all survive. Ralph finds a conch, and he blows the conch, which emits a sound, and it calls all the other children to him. Essentially, the book is about surviving and the decline of humanity in terms of, or in the face of a lack of laws and a lack of rules. These kids basically have to try to maintain a fire, a signal fire, so that they can spot any passing ships and ships can spot them, and keeping shelters built and hunting and basically basic survival. And it's really interesting to see how these things kind of work out, and it's actually probably a very close reflection of what life would be like if all technology crashed, if people ended up on a deserted island with themselves and about 20 other people, just seeing how things would play out. And going into themes, there are two main themes of this book. The first one being basically the idea of electing somebody up into a power position, that you choose that person to represent you, and then the second that person starts doing things that you disagree with, or someone else starts to speak out against that person, basically that person's power begins to decline. And even though you elected that person to represent your ideas, the second that you stop agreeing with anything that they do, you start to kind of decrease your loyalty to that person. That is a huge theme in this book, primarily dealing with Jack and Ralph. And while I won't go into spoilers here, but it is a very important theme, and one that really does kind of reflect the society of today. We see, at least in America, people in the Senate or the president himself, people that the country as a whole or states as a whole have elected into power positions. When we stop agreeing with that person or their decisions, basically nothing else gets done, and stuff kind of just starts to spiral out of control at times. This is also seen, at least at the point of when I'm filming this, in the Middle East, with a bunch of different things going on there. Another theme of this book is the idea of the loss of humanity, in a sense, and the idea that when or without rules and laws and technology, people will descend back into barbarism and basically revert to their natural instincts. And this is seen very plainly in this book, even from the very beginning at some points, and then even more so towards the very end of the book. And so yeah, those are the two themes that I found in this book, and If you found any more, let me know in the comments. I'd love to discuss them with you. Getting right into enjoyment now. For the most part, I did actually enjoy this book more than I thought I was going to. Like I said, I believe I read this in high school. I don't remember immensely enjoying it in high school, but that might have been because I didn't have the perspective that I do now. But rereading it now, it's actually a really, really good story. I highly recommend reading it to anyone who hasn't read it yet. Definitely check it out. William Golding, Lord of the Flies. Definitely worth your time. It's a classic novel and one that if you read, you can probably discuss with numerous other people. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'll be talking about the ending of this book after the credits, which are gonna roll in just a few minutes. And so yeah, if you've read Lord of the Flies, stay tuned for that. So yeah, that is my review for Lord of the Flies. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And once again, my good people, my name is Pell, and once again, keep on reading.
I'm trapped in a bio world where the endings are the same as every other. We're only here today. I'm losing my only dream. I can use some guiding light, some place to go. You hear me? Let me know.
And if you are still watching, you are here to see my thoughts on the ending to Lord of the Flies. Now I'm going to be talking about the last two chapters of this book. Essentially, we are at the point where Jack's tribe has reverted back to cannibalism and barbarity. They have they've gone all face paint, they have the masks on, they're doing chants and ritualistic things, and they believe that the beast is this basically god that they have to sacrifice items to. Ralph and Piggy, they go to Castle Rock and they go to talk and try to work some stuff out. Ralph was going to try to get his power back, and essentially Roger, he lets the boulder loose and it hits Piggy, who is at this point blind because he doesn't have his glasses. He gets hit, he's knocked onto a boulder off the cliffs, cracks his head open. It's essentially probably dead on impact. And then the waves come up, wash the body away. Piggy is dead, and that is the end of all intelligence, really, in this story. Ralph still has a little bit of it, but by the end of the last chapter, we see that kind of dwindle as well. He's in hiding from Roger. Essentially, he as well reverts to savagery, and he basically goes up, he tries to fight Roger, he's basically running for it. The forest is all on fire. At the end, we have the Navy officer. They saw the fire that was engulfing the island, and they came and they found the children. I found it kind of cool that at the end of the story, we have all of Jack's tribe behind Ralph, and then Ralph is engaging with the officer. The officer asks everyone, who's in charge here? And Ralph says, I am. And so yeah, I thought that was an interesting way of showing that Ralph was ultimately in control. Well, no, I wasn't. So those are my thoughts on the ending to Lord of the Flies. Comment below on your thoughts on the ending, on the story in general. I'd love to hear them. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And once again, my good people, my name is Pell, and as always, keep on reading.